Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. I'm Johnny, this is Johnny After Dark, and it's called Johnny After Dark because this is what Johnny does after dark. This is my co-pilot Kira, and this is my movie reaction channel. So I thought long and hard about which movie deserved the first reaction. I mean, this is sort of an occasion, it being the first reaction video, so I decided after a lot of thought that I was going to start with my very favorite movie of all time. I mean, people have different opinions. I mean, I could be right, you could be wrong. So, according to me, the best movie ever was actually not a movie. It was three movies. Called The Lord of the Rings, of course, naturally. And I'm kicking off with The Lord of the Rings. I'm going to do it in 6 parts. I'm going to be watching the extended versions. Now, I will not repeat one of the 7 deadly sins of movie reactions, which is to blatantly lie to you about not having seen a movie before. I will tell you in the description if I've seen something or whether I've seen something or not. And I'll tell you straight up, of course, I've watched The Lord of the Rings. Who hasn't? Here's looking at you, some of the other movie reaction channels who apparently grew up in caves where no one has ever seen Harry Potter or Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. I don't know where these people grew up, but my sympathies go with them. So I'll be straight up with you about whether or not something is my very first viewing or first time watching it or not. So you can rely on me for that. Now, one might ask the question, if it's not my first time watching it, is it worthwhile doing a reaction? I wouldn't put it up as a reaction if I didn't feel that I could still really add entertainment as a reactor. So yes, I believe it still will be worth your while to watch it, but that is for you to decide. If you do enjoy the content, please do consider subscribing to the channel, clicking the notification bell, and liking the video. It really helps out the channel. This is a new channel, and I will be putting out movie reactions on a regular basis. You can expect 1 or 2 per week. So without any further ado, let's jump in. If Kira would just stop breathing like a freight train into the microphone. I do apologize for her snoring sometimes, and sometimes noises come out the other end, but we don't talk about that. It seems like Kira's got other ideas, but maybe if I ignore her, she will quiet down.
It began with the forging of the great rings, immortal, wisest and fairest of all beings.
Stop it!
7 to the dwarf lords.
I have to jump in right there and say, I don't know why this is so difficult for some movies, some directors. Lord of the Rings got a lot of lore behind it. It's got a lot of history, if you will. And to bring in this sort of an intro that just in a few scenes describes the entire story so far is brilliant. It's simple, it gets everyone on track, and I don't understand why more people don't utilize it. So, well, must be one of the reasons this movie is just... I mean, you don't need to be a Lord of the Rings aficionado to understand this movie. So, I think that's my point.
9 rings were gifted to the race of men, who above all else desire power. The Dark Lord Sauron forged in secret a master ring to control all others. And into this ring he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life. 1 ring to rule them all. A last alliance of men and elves marked.
A last alliance of men and elves. No mention of the dwarves. And I think this is one of the main focus points throughout the movie. the message, if you will, to put aside petty squabbles and differences and stand together. And it's usually the case, I think it's always the case, that evil can be defeated when good people stand together and actually put aside their differences and work for the greater good. I think it was Einstein who said the only thing required for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Was that Einstein? I don't know. I'm probably going to look like an idiot in the edit, but there's probably going to be a correction up here. But I think it was someone. Someone said the only thing required for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. And this is also a theme that runs through this movie.
They fought for the freedom of Middle-earth.
Absolutely brilliant. Another thing is, you can't say that the visual effects are dated. This movie came out 2001. Everything was shot. The first, second, and third movies were all shot together, I believe. I think there were a few pickups that were done later, but all of this was shot, I think, between 1999 and 2000, or 2000 and 2001. So that's like 23, 24, 25 years ago. This doesn't look dated, which is a testament to the good job that Weta Workshop and Peter Jackson and them did on this movie. As a matter of fact, you'll find a lot of movies that came out a lot more recently that looks much worse in the terms of the CGI department, and I think that's because Peter Jackson correctly did not just rely on CGI to solve all his problems, so to speak. He did a lot of miniatures and stuff like that.
Victory was near, but the power of the ring could not be undone. That Isildur, son of the king, took up his father's sword. Sauron was defeated. The ring passed to Isildur, who had this one chance to destroy evil forever.
Amazing how the ring just changes
But the
its
hearts
size
of men
as well.
are easily corrupted.
The hearts of men are easily corrupted. Well, yes. Interesting thing I would like to point out here is, I think Isildur gets a bad rap. He's automatically reduced from, just think about it, he goes from absolute hero. Everyone was standing around on the battlefield like a bunch of morons, not doing anything, getting their behinds handed to them. Isildur, maybe it was a lucky strike, but at least he acted and defeated Sauron. He goes from hero who defeated the enemy of the three peoples of Middle-earth into the next moment into the villain and the weakling of the movie. And something else I would like to point out that's going to come into play a little bit later on is when Elrond, which I do like, but maybe the books explains this better, but I've forgotten because I haven't read the books in many years. But Elrond has a little bit of a hissy fit later on about the strength of men failing. And then they cut to a scene where Elrond is standing there screaming like someone who is completely beside himself at the chasm, telling Isildur to throw the ring into the fire. And then he, Elrond, a mighty warrior, a sort of leader or king figure of elves, who also had his own army there, proceeds to do absolutely nothing to stop Isildur. If there are any Lord of the Rings aficionados watching, please explain to me, if this is explained better in the books, why did Elrond, it's all well and good for Elrond to go on and on and on about Isildur taking the ring. Why didn't he stop it? Always wondered about that.
Has a will of its own. It betrayed Isildur to his death.
Incidentally, when you watch the movie up to here and you actually see Isildur disappearing, then you know you're watching the extended version. Because I think that is the first scene that is additional to the theatrical release.
And some things that should not have been forgotten were lost. For 2,500 years, the ring passed out of all knowledge. It ensnared a new bearer. The ring came to the creature Gollum.
Another question I have, what happens to Gollum when he puts on the ring? I don't know. Anyone knows? Please put in the comment section below.
The ring brought to Gollum unnatural long life. For 500 years it poisoned his mind.
Something else not clearly explained in the movies is a question of why it took Sauron 500 years to capture Gollum. Now, you could say that Sauron was defeated in The Hobbit, and you could say that Sauron... No, I'm sorry. What am I talking about? The Hobbit took place after Sauron's defeat. Yes, and then he came back to Dol Guldur or something, and he was the necromancer, and he got defeated again. And then... But, I don't know. It just seems like a long time. And then, ta-da! He's got his whole army, he's sitting there in his tower, blah, 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 everything. There's a lack of explanation or context in the movies about why it took 500 years. Or at least since Bilbo got the ring from... I mean, Bilbo put the ring on. Someone said that it because Frodo was stabbed by the Morgul blade, that's why Sauron could see him. I don't know if that had something to do with it. Why Sauron woke up exactly when he did and decided to catch Gollum hundreds and hundreds of years later, it's difficult to understand, but I'm sure there is an explanation.
It abandoned Gollum. But something happened then the ring did not intend. It was picked up by a hobbit, Bilbo Baggins of the Shire.
It's always interesting to me, and I hope I find the correct words to explain this, but there she said, something then happened the ring did not intend. And later on, Gandalf will refer to this again when he says that you were meant to find the ring, and that is an encouraging thought. It's like the forces of good are not as prone to show off its power. It works silently, unseen, and misunderstood, and often is mistaken for weakness. But in the end, it triumphs over evil. And that is certainly weaved into this movie as well, because these guys seem to have their backs against the wall from day one until the end, and certainly there's just a light sprinkling here and there of just enough good luck that seems to come around just when it's needed, in the nick of time. Interesting to me. Hobbiton. The place everyone wants to live. The Shire. I wish I could write that neatly. My handwriting is terrible.
Hobbits have been living and farming in the four farthings of the Shire for many hundreds of years. And Hobbits' only real passion is for food. A rather unfair observation, as we have also developed a keen interest in the brewing of ale.
I think it's I'm trying to express how and why everyone who seemed to watch these scenes with Hobbiton, the Shire, the hobbits living their lives, why everybody just sort of gravitates towards that and say, yeah, I wish I could live there. I think it's because it's the personification of low stress, peaceful, wholesome, good life. As the Italians would say, la dolce vita, just the good life. I think that's, and some people may not be ready for that because they still want to go out and face adventure. But once you've been around the block a few times, you really start to have a hankering for this peaceful life. And I think, once again, Peter Jackson did an amazing job to illustrate this place. I mean, the fact that this actual place can still be visited in New Zealand is a testament to that. There's also a sort of place like this in Italy, if I'm not mistaken. I saw one of the Amazon specials from James May a while back, and there was a couple of Italians also having their little Hobbiton there. I don't know if that's still going on. Those guys looked a little bit, that looked a little bit suspicious, but this area here in New Zealand is definitely still available.
Where our hearts truly lie is in peace, quiet. It is no bad thing to celebrate a simple life.
I mean, what do they do all day? A bit of farming, a bit of fishing, perm their hair.
You're late.
A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
I think, is it Sir Ian, what's his surname, Holmes? This actor, he did a very good job expressing this sort of addictive or addict-like behavior associated with this pull towards the ring. I mean, they are basically all like a bunch of heroin addicts, towards this ring. They just can't break the habit, the ring habit. Yeah, let's let that statement stand. They like Gandalf. They're just not allowed to admit it. I have to say, Gandalf is quite good at keeping his cards close to his chest. I don't think I would have the patience to do that. He really checks things out for a good long while before he acts. That's my take anyway. I mean, seeing someone for the first time in 60 years or something, I think it's been between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and realizing that this old friend of yours has barely aged and certainly looks like 30 years younger than he's supposed to, should warrant more than just a, "You haven't aged today," and then just carrying on. As I understand it, if I remember correctly, they actually built two identical bag ends. One that was full size, that this actor Ian ran around in, and the other hobbits, and then one that was miniature scale for, and this is how they sort of got this effect that the house is big in relation to the hobbits, but small in relation to human size. Gandalf, to be specific.
Just tea, thank you.
The Lonely Mountain. Adventure from the Hobbit. Smaug, depicted there on the map.
I'm old, Gandalf. I know I don't look it. I feel thin, sort of stretched, like butter scraped over too much bread.
This scene right here was quite gripping to me. The metaphor he used, I feel scraped like butter over too much bread. I'm old, I know I don't look it, but I'm beginning to feel it on the inside. And just the look he gives there should immediately trigger a lot of concern from any friend. I mean, that's quite a deep, compelling statement that he made there. For me, at least, it really struck me. What could be better than looking out over that scene at the sunset? Little barbecue fire on the side, maybe a bit of mead.
The mercy of three monstrous
They're all up.
Fun fact, little popcorn fact, this little girl over here is the same little girl later used as one of the children in the caves in Rohan, I believe. I know it's sad that I know that, but just shows you how much I love these movies.
Arguing on whether they should sit on us one by one and squash us into jelly.
Done.
Supposed to stick it in the ground.
What's your idea?
Let's get another one.
The question may be asked, and I think you'd be forgiven for asking the question, why these two numbnuts had to go on the adventure at all? I mean, they started the fire that led the ringwraiths to the watchtower later on. Pippin kicked the bucket into the pit that basically alerted every goblin in Moria. And I'm sure if as we go along we'll find more fumbles that they made. I can say that Mary served a purpose in the end, but I don't know. They're just like the cheerleaders, Frodo's cheerleaders. I don't know. Aragorn and Legolas and everyone had to go running after them after they were kidnapped. Maybe someone can point out some purposes that they actually served on this journey. Well, they went out of loyalty and the goodness of their hearts, and that's fine. And maybe that's... I don't know. I don't know if it's realistic to say... I mean, why didn't they just turn around at Bree? Why did they keep going all the way? They I don't know. Maybe they're just very loyal that way. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
Today is my 111th birthday. I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like
Less than half of you, half as well as you deserve. That statement, wow, over everyone's heads. Except Gandalf.
I bid you all a very fond farewell.
This goes to show that obviously Bilbo still doesn't understand the gravity and the danger posed by the ring. He's keeping it secret. This is probably the first time, judging by everyone's expression, this is the first time they ever came to know about it. But doing this as a party trick underscores the fact that he doesn't understand the seriousness of the ring. And that is the look of Gandalf having a small aneurysm.
I suppose you think that was terribly clever.
Come on, Gandalf. It was just a bit of fun. Oh, you're probably right, as usual.
As usual.
Isn't that odd now?
The heroin ring. It's calling to him.
After all, why not?
Why shouldn't I keep it?
I think you should leave the ring behind.
It's mine. My pressure.
Excellent 180-degree transformation just in his personality, his appearance. You can just see the influence the ring has on him.
It's been called that before.
Ah, my business isn't of yours when I do with my own thing. You want it for yourself.
Baggins! Do not take me for some conjurer of cheap tricks. I'm trying to help you.
And of course, Gandalf is not going to put up with it.
The ring must go to Frodo.
The ring is still in your pocket.
Yes.
Quite interesting decision of Bilbo to take off in the middle of the night. Knowing about all the trolls and stuff that's... Maybe he was just going to make it to Bree. Maybe he wasn't going to go that far. So I suppose it could make sense. The weight with which that thing drops just shows you it's no normal ring. I must say it speaks to the character of Bilbo Baggins, the fact that he's able, after wearing that ring or having it for 60-something years, I think it was 60-something years, I'm not sure, please feel free to fact check me, for him to still have the strength to, okay, mind you, with a little nudge from Gandalf, but he still had the strength to let that thing go and walk off. He didn't sneak back in the middle of the night to take the ring back from Frodo after Gandalf had left or anything like that. He just left it behind. So kudos for Bilbo and the sort of inner strength that some hobbits possess, to be able to do this. And I think even among hobbits, this level of fortitude is very, very rare.
Till our next meeting.
Gandalf one step ahead. I said Gandalf one step ahead. I'm going to add to that a caveat to that statement later on, but I'll leave that until later in the reaction. At this point, I think some people don't understand that Gandalf at this point still doesn't know that this is the One Ring. Which is confusing because he says to Bilbo earlier, when Bilbo says, "my precious," Gandalf says it's been called that before. But I think that was a mistake made in the movies that wasn't made in the books. I'm not sure. Lord of the Rings aficionados, please correct me in the comments or help me out. But as I understand it, at this stage, Gandalf understood that it was a magic ring, but he wasn't 100% sure that it was Sauron's ring. Otherwise, why would he go to Gondor? And it's handled so quickly in one or two scenes that's going to follow now in the movie. But you have to understand that Gondor is not 1 or 2 days ride from the Shire. So, and we don't know how many days he spent in the dusty old libraries of Gondor looking for, maybe not that many days. I mean, then you just asked, I don't know, but he didn't know what he was looking for. I don't know. One of those small little inconsistencies, and yet it's still the best movie ever made. Well, the three as a whole. Gandalf looking like he had a little bit too much pipe tobacco.
I didn't think he'd really do it.
Or weed or whatever what's in those pipes. Gandalf be tripping. Ooh, it really looks like he's tripping.
The ring is yours now.
Gandalf keeping his cards close again. Now, Gandalf didn't know what ring this was. I don't think he suspected it to be the One Ring. I don't know, to be quite honest. But leaving it with Frodo, well, I suppose it was his only option because he couldn't touch it. It would influence him. So, and Bilbo did kind of drop the whole thing on him just like 10 minutes ago. Or whatever at the end of the party. So, I suppose it was the best he could do under the circumstances. I don't know. It's easy to sit and judge afterwards. If that was Barad-dûr, did they not show the eye on top yet? Was the eye not there yet? First time I noticed that.
Markings upon the band begin to fade. The writing.
How long did... This is Isildur's speaking in the first person. How long did he have the ring? Because the movie seems to indicate that he gets killed right after the battle. That's the assumption that you'll make by the timing of the shot there. So it seems to be the case that he had the ring with him at the in Gondor itself, in Minas Tirith, for quite some time to have had time to write this, or did he write this on the road? I don't know. Once again, I think Isildur gets a bit of a tough break. He made a mistake, and he died for it. But he also did good things, and he died perhaps unexpectedly and quickly before he was able to fix his mistake. Who knows? Or maybe he would just have gotten worse.
Which a secret now that only fire can tell.
There's no packages around here. They're all up in Hobbiton.
Stop chopping wood and change your underwear, man. You can actually go on YouTube and search for Lord of the Rings tavern shanties or bar songs or something. There's actually a couple of bands who did some of these Hobbit songs, and it's quite nice to listen to that now. I don't know if I should say this yet. Let me hold off. Get a weapon. Get a stick. Something. I mean, you don't know.
It's insane.
What are you doing?
Hold out your hand, Frodo. It's quite cool.
How do you know? That is so cool. Everyone, and I mean everyone, wanted to have a ring like that right after the release of this movie.
One ring to rule them all. One ring to find them. One ring to bring them all.
And in the darkness,
Find them. This is the One Ring. Ring has awoken. It's heard its master's call.
But he was destroyed.
Sauron needs only this ring to cover all the lands of a second darkness. He must never find it.
No one knows it's here, do they? Do they, Gandalf?
Well,
That would lead them here.
Who goes there?
Through me, it would wield a power too great and terrible to imagine.
now interesting. Gandalf is not a human being. He's a wizard, but he's not a human being wizard. He is an immortal. He's lived for thousands of years, has many names. He's part of the Starry. And please, Lord of the Rings and Tolkien aficionados, don't jump on me. I'm speaking under correction. Help me out if I'm wrong. Don't yell at me. I'm trying my best. I'm a fan of the movies and the book and the whole story, everything, the games. I've played many of the games as well, but I'm not expert level in this. I just have a basic understanding. So there are divine beings in this world called Einar and Maiar. I think the Einar is the higher level and the Maiar is the lower level. And the Maiar is divided into classes as well in terms of the Istari, like Gandalf, are actually Maiar. And the Balrogs are also Maiar, and I think Sauron is also a Maiar, or is Sauron Einar? I think he's a Maiar. So but they differ in level, even though they are the same. Just like human beings, one can be weak and one can be strong physically, so they also differ. So it would be quite interesting to see. Long story short, extremely long digression, which is my special skill that I have. I wonder what would happen if Gandalf took the ring. Would he become a slave to Sauron, or would he himself become a next Dark Lord in Middle Earth?
But I cannot stay in the Shire.
No!
What must I do?
You must give up your entire life.
Where?
For the Dupree. I must see the head of my order.
Now, let me put that little part that I left out earlier that I said I was going to mention later. Let me put it in here. Gandalf is very wise, and he's got a very good sense of right and wrong. But his plans aren't exactly bulletproof. Okay? which is kind of disturbing because he's so wise and because he puts out this vibe that he is, well, he's humble. I'm not saying he's got an attitude or something, but you tend to trust him when he tends to be the leader of a party or the head advisor at least. But his plans aren't exactly foolproof. I mean, as we'll see, he plays a bit of Russian roulette with other people's lives. And I don't mean that to knock him, but it is true. He takes on risk and he allows others to take on risk as well. He always gives them a choice, but I think he underplays the risk. I mean, look at Bilbo in the Adventure of the Hobbit, and now again with Frodo. And the plan doesn't work out at all. Everything goes balls up.
Get down. Found it all, Samwise Gamgee. Have you been eavesdropping?
I ain't been dropping no eaves, sir, honest. I was just cutting the grass under the window there, if you follow me.
A little late for trimming the verge, don't you think? Hi, racehorse. What did you hear? Speak!
Nothing important. That is, I heard a good deal about a ring and a Dark Lord and something about the end of the world, but please don't think I love, sir, don't
So
I?
basically everything. That's what you get for eavesdropping. And a very good thing it turned out to be that he was eavesdropping, because this is one of those little happy accidents. I spoke about the subtle influences of the forces of good that just nudges things in the right order, and Samwise Gamgee eavesdropping was one of those little happy accidents that turned out to be very, very valuable.
Never put it on. It wants to live on.
Never put it on, for the agents of the Dark Lord or something will be drawn to its power. Why weren't they drawn to its power when Bilbo put it on? Is it not more a case of, as I said earlier, of Frodo being, after he got stabbed? I don't know. This is a bit fuzzy for me to understand. Once again, Lord of the Ring aficionados and experts, feel free to go crazy in the comment section to explain this to me, if you wouldn't mind. I must say, it's awesome how Peter Jackson portrayed the elves. This sort of a pale white, glowing sort of a air about them. Everything about them. I mean, this in my mind is how elves should look from now until forever. Spot on. I mean, he did something so that they don't just look like humans with pointy ears. You went deeper than just giving them pointy ears, and the pointy ears were done very well, and it wasn't overdone. The way they dress, the actors he cast to play elves, the air they carried themselves with, all those things just add together to make it believable that these aren't human beings.
They're leaving Middle-earth, never to return.
Now, of course, I think it's about here. The book diverges from the movie. I don't remember. No, it was definitely before Bree. I think it was before they reached Bree, where the whole Tom Bombadil part came in. Tom Bombadil was a character that I enjoyed immensely in the book, and I was also sad to see him left out and landing on the cutting room floor or editing room floor, whatever you want to call it. But I accept Peter Jackson's explanation there, in that Tom Bombadil didn't serve any purpose to move the story forward. You can disagree with that, but I think it's a strong enough point to be valid. And besides, only one guy can make the movie. Look, no movie is ever going to be 100% faithful to a book. No movie is ever going to have the amount of detail that the books had. Same with Harry Potter. Harry Potter, the books, left out Peeves completely, the poltergeist. Completely. He's nowhere to be found in any of the movies. So, these things happen. It's sad, and it sucks, but I look at it like this. I'm happy that someone who actually gives a damn about the source material and about the story did his best, his version, to put this into movies. I think this is something that all Lord of the Rings fans should treasure, even though you can poke holes in it. Even though I've been sitting here now, basically bringing up a bunch of points that seem like inconsistencies to me. But you don't completely tear it down. Just because something isn't perfect doesn't mean you should tear it down. Because number one, you think you could have done it better. No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. Neither could I. We are not movie makers. We don't know all the intricacies that goes into making a movie, the tempo that you need, and all that stuff. So cut Peter Jackson some slack, because I know some people don't like the movies, not because they're not interested in the story, but because they are so fastidious in everything has to be exactly like. You're never going to find a story that's going to be exactly like the books.
The ring of power has been found, yet you did not have the wit to see it.
Must say, Christopher Lee did an amazing job cast as Saruman. He just stepped into that role and he has become Saruman forevermore.
Your love of the halfling's leaf has clearly slowed your mind. He is gathering all evil to him.
Speaking about the Eye of Sauron, when Kira was a baby, or she was just very young, it wasn't on an operation or anything like that, but you just, with bull terriers, you just bind their ears for a few days. It doesn't hurt them or anything. There's no cuts or anything being made. It's just you sort of put a bandage on the ears like this, and you tape it together, just to sort of, I don't know. It's almost like you can't call it muscle memory. There's no lot of muscles there, but it sort of teaches the ears to stand erect all the time, because when they are born, their ears are flappy like this, and they just look like pigs. Really look like pigs. So it's just to make, and then we tied the ears like this, and we tied them together, and I drew, an I drew an Eye of Sauron right here. I'll add the picture. It was quite funny. I couldn't stop laughing, and I think no one walking past in the street could take us seriously barking at them with the Eye of Sauron between her ears. Whoops.
Power is later than you think. You did not seriously think that a hobbit could contend with the will of Sauron.
It was at that moment that Gandalf realized he effed up.
Tell me,
Friend.
when did Saruman the Wise abandon reason for madness?
Mr. Frodo? Frodo? I thought I'd lost you. What are you talking?
He just went to take a pee, Sam. Relax.
What could possibly happen?
These two.
Don't know why he's so upset. It's only a couple of carrots. And some cabbages. And those 3 bags of potatoes that we lifted last week.
I would like to thank Peter Jackson and whoever did the sounds and the music in the movie for not using this opportunity to add stupid boing 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 type sounds which people are sometimes inclined to add because they're hobbits. Sometimes they try to create levity in a movie, make someone funny, a comedic relief or something, and then they just end up ruining the entire movie, or the entire scene at least. Yes, let me stop there. I don't want to go into the Hobbit now, but maybe in future I'll do the Hobbit as well reaction. And in the Hobbit, things were done a little bit more along those lines, where some things were they tried to create levity or something, and it didn't work out. I think it's one of the reasons a lot of people say the Hobbit movies weren't as good as Lord of the Rings movies, and perhaps for the Hobbit they should not have tried to stretch it into three movies, but maybe they could have done everything in two movies. This scene right here, whatever they did to make the I don't know the road contort like that or zoom in like that, it was very creepy in the original movie in the theaters. I remember very ominous, very good, well done. Leaves blowing like that,
Get off the road!
freaky, very freaky. Should I or should I not? Some say that there may or may not be a few cutting, editing mistakes here. The thing is crouching right above your heads, throwing a bag 5 meters to the left. I mean, the thing has to be a colossal idiot to not just immediately jump down and nab all three of you. How this proceeded to then become night and you running around, running away from someone on a horse is something that we just don't talk about. Nothing to see here. Let's just move past this bit.
That Black Rider was looking for something. Or someone.
I'm pragmatic. I'd like to think I'm practical. I love this movie, don't get me wrong. So I can talk a little bit of shit, but not a lot. With all the pots and pans jangling, jangling on Sam's back. The fact that things stood right over them. They threw a little knapsack 5 meters away, and suddenly this thing became so befuddled that from the afternoon until well after nightfall, this thing was riding around in circles, unable to find them. I don't think they are doing the ring wraiths enough justice. And it makes it sort of hard to bring together these fumbling ring wraiths from the first movie. And then in the last movie, they are portrayed as very dangerous and lethal. Well, they are portrayed as dangerous and lethal in the first movie as well, but they act like complete idiots, in my estimation. In the movie, at least, this is probably maybe something that is not depicted in the books as it is in the movies.
What do you want? I'm heading for the prancing pony.
Peter Jackson on right hand side eating a carrot. I never liked this scene where they are stumbling in between everybody seems drunk and outside for some reason in the rain. The first scene that you saw moments ago, just a sort of semi-aerial shot of Bree, makes Bree look like quite a nice place. Despite the fact, the only thing that makes it look worse is the fact that it's pouring down with rain. But so the rain does make it a little bit depressing. But then this scene where all of these people are standing around outside in the rain, looking like they are drunk, eating carrots and stuff, it gives it gives Bree a dirty, sort of shoddy, scuffed, crappy vibe, and I don't think that is exactly what Bree is. Bree is actually a town where humans and hobbits live together, which is why they have hobbit-sized rooms and hobbit-sized everything there. It's not supposed to be, I think, such a dirty, crappy place.
Oh, Mr.
Underhill, friends of Gandalf the Grey. Can you tell him we've arrived?
Not seen him for 6 months.
I mean, at that moment, what do? The entire plan has just gone to pot. You basically went there on Gandalf's instruction with no further instruction whatsoever. So, quite a low point for poor Frodo here.
It comes in paints?
Oh.
I can get you one.
That man in the corner. Who is he?
Interesting little side note, or perhaps not interesting at all. Everyone seems to be smoking indoors in the world of the Lord of the Rings. So, I don't know why I said that. It's just something I noticed. Something that you won't find acceptable in today's times, these days.
Here, he's known as Strider.
Baggins? Sure I know a Baggins. He's over.
Right, forgot about this one. Pippin blowing their cover completely. Ding! 1 point for Pippin. Should we add the fact that they stole Farmer Maggot's crops and caused the entire derailment of the way they were travelling initially, because Frodo and Sam was up in the cornfields and then they had to fell down the hill because of these numbnuts that stole from crops from the farmer. So are we at number 1 or number 2 for Merry / Pippin F-ups?
There. Frodo Baggins. He's...
What do you want?
A little more caution from you. That is no trinket you carry.
I carry nothing.
Indeed.
Let it go, or I'll have you, Lord Saints!
I will not say you can no longer wait for us. They're coming.
I feel for that guy. I didn't fall for that even the first time I watched the movie. It's too obvious.
Where are you taking us?
Into the wild.
I must say, one thing that I find refreshing in these movies is that the good guys are good guys. They don't need to be tainted or, have something awful about them or had to have committed some horrible atrocity in order to be relatable. I don't know where Hollywood got this idea that the hero isn't relatable if he doesn't, cheat on his wife and is a complete drunk or something. It's like they have to taint everything and everyone, even the good guys, in order to make them relatable, as though we, the viewers, are all that messed up. Like, I can't relate to someone unless they have some horrible secret in their past. Is that projection from the movie making world? Are they projecting their own screwed up lives onto us? I don't know. But I like this movie in the sense that not every good guy, there's 1 or 2 here and there that we will meet late in the movie, but not everyone has to have some sort of ulterior motives and stuff like that. Aragorn is just good. He's got his weakness. He's got fears that he might have weaknesses and stuff like that, but him and many of the others are just good. Merry and Pippin went along with Frodo and Sam out of loyalty, and I don't find that unrealistic, because in real life you do get just good people in real life. And so I find it refreshing, actually, in these movies that that the good guys are simply that, good guys.
Where is he leading us?
Rivendell, Master Gamgee, the House of Elrond.
I don't know why Aragorn was at Bree. Did Gandalf tell Aragorn to go there as well? Because if Aragorn wasn't there to lead the hobbits further, they'd all be dead by now. They would probably be sleeping in those beds when the Nazgul came for them. So this would have been a very short movie. So is it? Why was Aragorn there exactly? How did he know to go there? Did he speak to Gandalf? Because Gandalf's own plan went to pot, obviously. Or was Aragorn the backup plan? Were they all meant to travel together? Were they going to go to Rivendell anyway? I think so. Story of Beren and Luthien. Of course, the story of Beren and Luthien, I think, is close to Aragorn's heart because Beren was a man and Luthien an elf. So obviously he's got this thing with Arwen. So is probably a worrying tale for him. A prison with no walls. A lot of people ask at this point, why does he want to rip down the trees? It's fairly obvious. Wood, fire, smithing, making weapons and armor for a war. I'm on sword.
We shall rest here tonight.
These are for you. Want to mount yourself?
Bing! Depending on how you're counting, 2 or 3 now for. I'm gonna say, you might count Sam in here, sitting there feeding his face, stuffing his face, but I'm gonna go ahead and give him a pass on the grounds that I don't think it was his idea to light the fire. I think if it was just him and Frodo, he would be lying on the ground struggling to sleep. I think it's one of these two numbnuts who got the idea to light a fire and cook a meal.
Fools, put it out, that's nice.
Broadcasting for 1,000,000 miles around you. Seeing their faces for the first time. Okay, I don't know how many of the 9 were there at that moment. I think at least 6, or I don't know if all 9 were there. But this is one of those scenes again that sort of undermines the competence of the Nazgul, which is reiterated how dangerous they are. They are portrayed as being very dangerous. As a matter of fact, the one who stabs Frodo is the Witch King. Gandalf says this later on. And in this extended edition, in the 3rd movie, we know that the Witch King sort of makes Gandalf land on his ass. So, how is Aragorn, with a sword and a torch, able to just disperse them like they are nothing? I don't. It's one of those little things that's. I can't remember once again how it went in the books, but small inconsistency. First, the one Nazgul can't find Frodo right under his nose. Secondly, they attack empty beds while the hobbits are like a few rooms away, maybe across the street. Then they get their asses handed to them by Aragorn on Weathertop. And then later, of course, they step right into Arwen's trap. But anyway, that's in the Fellowship of the Ring. Later on, they are portrayed as much more dangerous. Maybe they were just having a few off days. You wouldn't believe how many reaction videos I've watched where the reactors think in this moment that Gandalf is going to eat this moth. Say what you will about the orcs, but they aren't lazy. They can work. They can put in a shift. I bet you anything they're not unionized as well. No unions there. I have to hand it to them as well. These Uruk-hai look fantastic. I mean, the size, the growls, the everything is just spot on. I mean, if you wanted to set up for the coming battle a sense of dread, a sense of danger, then you need look no further than these monsters.
Is he going to die?
Maybe.
What's this? A ranger caught off his guard.
What's this? A character pushed into a movie that wasn't in the book. Oh, I'm sorry, she was in the book, but she wasn't there in the book. Glorfindel, I believe, went to meet them, not Arwen. Her brother, in other words. But I'm not complaining. Liv Tyler played the role very well, and let's just say a lot of young men back there when the movies came out got a sudden and intense interest in Liv Tyler as well. She really got onto a lot of people's radar back then, and then she just sort of disappeared again. She did the Lord of the Rings movies. I know she did other work, but it's just nothing along these lines, which is sort of sad because she plays these type of roles very well.
He's not going to last.
He's not going to last. Aragorn is just like... Well, I didn't pick this king's foil for nothing, or have the last plan for nothing.
What are you doing? Those rice are still out there.
Calculated risk, Master Samwise. Calculated risk. Horse is like, you don't need to tell me twice.
If you want him, come and claim him.
She's got some backbone. That sort of whitewater horses scene, awesome. Absolutely awesome. Does make the ring wraiths look like a bunch of morons again, but okay.
You are in the house of Elrond.
Okay, I think we'll stop part 1 there. So let's do a quick recap. I watched these movies many years ago. I love them. They are what I consider to be my favorite movies of all time, especially the third one, Return of the King. So for this part 1 of Fellowship of the Ring, this sets everything up. If you don't know the story, if you don't know anything about Lord of the Rings, this sort of just lays the groundwork. It introduces a lot of the characters, not all of them. It gives us the main issue that needs to be dealt with, We get to know the hobbits, we get to know the character of hobbits. So they seem sort of like pushovers, but there's an inner strength to them that that you find if you look a bit deeper. We got to know Strider now. His character arc will develop further. Gandalf is in a pickle. What's going to happen to him? All good stuff, setting up to be expanded on in part 2 or in the second movie or even the third movie. So I really enjoyed watching this movie again. It's been a long time since I've watched it. It hasn't lost its magic for me in any way. I may be a little bit critical of some things, may point out some things. Maybe some of you might think, oh, well, if you're gonna shit on the movie that much, how can you say it's your favorite? It's not the case. Look, when you watch a movie like this, you have to go along with the fantasy around it. And besides, the beautiful story that is told in the complete set of the Lord of the Rings movies, for the brilliance of that, the absolutely tugs at my heart aspect of that far outstrips any small inconsistencies, which is just my nature to point out. But I'm not hating on the movie at all. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think, what do we have here? Almost 2.5 hours just flew by, or more than 2 hours just flew by. And yes, absolutely still stand by what I said so far. Can't wait to do the next. But for now, I'm going to stop. I'm going to thank all of you for watching. Those of you who watched till the end, big thumbs up to you. If you enjoy the content, please do consider subscribing to the channel, giving a thumbs up, and clicking the notification button, because without the notification button these days, the subscription doesn't count for anything. YouTube won't recommend my follow-up videos to you. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in part 2. Have a good one. Bye-bye.